Eat the rich. There's only one thing that they're good for. Eat the rich. Take one bite now. Come back for more. Eat the rich. I gotta get this off my chest. Eat the rich. Take one bite now. Spit out the rest. This is the Community Solutions Podcast. Jason Bradley, Andrew Richter, burning up the airwaves, but don't you dare blame us for that haze up in the sky. How you doing?
I'm doing fine, but that haze is brutal.
Yeah.
And it's not what Jimi Hendrix said. It ain't no purple haze.
No, it's not.
But I'll tell you this much.
Yes.
You go over by a lake, and it looks like rain is coming like right at you. That's what it looks like with the haze.
Really?
Yeah, it was the weirdest thing. I've been working outside for several days, and it's been burning my eyes. My poor contacts, they might just disintegrate from
Be
this.
permanently glued to your eyeballs, one or the other. Yeah. I have 20/20 vision. I'm healed.
Yeah, who needs LASIK? I just contacts just melted into my head. By the way, I think I know that song.
Yes. So you're going to guess. Go ahead. Go ahead and guess first.
The name's on the tip of my tongue, and I'm not coming up with that. I can picture the guy singing with long hair, he's all strung out.
Well, it is rock music. That's most of the people.
Aerosmith.
That's actually our new national anthem, believe it or not.
What?
I'm just kidding.
Oh. I almost believed you for a second.
Well, under this administration, it could be.
It may. There may be a new one every week.
But it is Aerosmith,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
What's that guy's name? Don't tell me. Tyler something. Steven Tyler.
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Okay. So
Yes.
I do kind of know it.
Okay, there you go.
Of course, I grew up thinking Led Zeppelin was a person. So, I mean, there is...
Well, when I was young, I thought Pink Floyd was a person.
yeah,
too,
who named their kid Led? I kept thinking that.
It was the 60s.
Yeah, that's true. But, I mean, the names today,
Yeah.
from Apple or Orange or
Right.
whatever people call their kids now. Nobody calls their kid Bill or George or Mike. Or,
Well, I mean, there was Frank Zappa who named his kids, Dweezil, Moon Unit.
it's funny, too,
Yeah.
because I'm going to... In fact, before we get into anything, Jay,
Yeah.
because I'm thinking of something with a weird name. My wife and I were on a Friends watching binge recently,
Okay.
and it got me to thinking.
Yes.
Because I know I used to be a TV fan. I don't watch anything anymore. I really don't. I really watch no TV unless it's a Lifetime movie where the women are all crazy and I love it, or it's Dr. Phil, or I just really, and I occasionally watch an occasional news program. Very little though.
Yeah.
I just don't care for the watching the partisan garbage on TV. It's just I don't find it interesting or educational or anything. But I was thinking,
Yes.
back in the 90s, Jay, what it's like Bazinga or Topinga or Topeka or something. Yeah, something really. My sister watched it.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but the guy's brother was the guy from Wonder Years. Kevin.
Oh, yes.
Well, I can't think of his real name, but the Arnold family.
Yes.
That's the only one.
Was
His
that a
brother
90s show or was that an 80s
was
show?
like 87 to 92 or 3.
Kinda counts?
I want to say. I guess it kind
Yeah.
of counts. That's your favorite 90s show? I love that show.
I did love that show.
I love the brother. He was
Yeah.
my favorite. Wayne. Of course, guess. No
Right.
shock.
Right.
And the
The
dad.
boy,
I
yeah.
love the dad.
Right.
Yeah. So,
What
he
else
reminded
did
me of
I
my
watch in
dad.
the
Big,
80s?
tough guy.
Yeah.
Teddy bear underneath.
What else did I watch in the 90s? I don't know. Does Headbangers Ball count? Probably not. Probably not. It's not really a TV show.
Did you live through the 90s? Were you alive?
Yes.
I mean, this is
That was
before the
on in
days.
the
This is
90s.
before the days of Flixnet and all that stuff. So there still wasn't that many options on TV.
That was on MTV like once a week.
Yeah, you watched that right after Beavis and Butthead, right? You watched that first, and then
Pleading the Fifth.
I watched it here and there.
Yeah.
I admit. That one I watched the movie.
Yeah.
I did watch the movie at the Mall of America.
Wow.
When I was in college, Beavis and Butthead: The Experience. I did watch that. So you don't have a favorite show from the 90s? Okay,
That was a long time ago. Oh, you start. Jog my memory.
Okay. Well, my favorite show, and I say this with an asterisk, I'll explain why, was Home Improvement. That was probably my favorite.
Okay.
And because I love Tim Allen. I say with an asterisk because I couldn't stand the mom on the show. And I've explained that before, that she was the first whiny, angry, bitchy woman on TV, and I just couldn't stand it. Any episode that had to do with her or she was the central person, I didn't want to watch. I still have DVDs of it, and I fast forward those episodes. That's how much I just can't stand.
Yeah.
Because it made no sense. It made no sense that I don't understand what they were thinking when they did that show, and I don't know how much power Tim Allen had about it, but I mean, it's like, okay, you have this grunting rawr, 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 man, and yet he comes home and he's just a little kitten. You know, he's a kitten around, and the wife runs the house and bosses him around and spends all the money and, you know, calls him names and stuff, and it's just kind of like, to me, that made no sense. I just didn't understand it. So that was like, I loved the show, but the mom was wrong on the show. So while I enjoyed it, you know, I enjoyed it with an asterisk. Now, if I could give you a drama, okay, on TV, there's two that stand out for me. Law and Order, probably my all-time favorite show. Okay, and the other one being ER.
I would put E and R in there. At least, did I say E and R? ER in there. I would say the first few seasons, and it started to go wildly to the left at some point. And I'm like, okay, we're going to start virtue signaling. And
I thought when Clooney and the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, when they left the show, they were like the
I don't know who that is. You mean Anthony Hopkins?
Anthony Edwards.
Gilbert. Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah. No, it wasn't Hannibal Lecter. Yeah. When they left the show,
yes,
it was never the same after that. They couldn't replace those two guys. And so, but I thought like the first, even with you though, the first like 3 years of that show, it was, and it's hard to maintain a great show and make every episode riveting. And I mean, I think that's difficult. And the show was an instant hit. Yeah. And I think to stay on that level is just damn near impossible. But
well, somehow Grey's Anatomy is in its 35th season. I've never watched a single episode.
My wife's watched that. I don't know. It's got the guy from Can't Buy Me Love on it, right?
Yeah.
I like him, so maybe I should watch it a little bit. So
I don't know. You left out your favorite two shows, though.
I already said Saved by the Bell, the new class, and Boy Meets World.
Blossom and Teletubbies.
Thought you were going to say Baywatch for a minute. Blossom.
I won't get you in trouble with the
I mean, does a show? I remember the first few seasons of Frasier. I liked.
Yeah, that was okay
because that was right after Cheers, which ended in like 92,
right? Something like that.
Yeah. I liked Kelsey Grammer's character, and I liked the dad. But it got to the point where, you know, when I got in my teens and 20s, I wasn't home at Wednesday at 7:30. It just, you know, you couldn't TiVo anything back then. Right. So it's kind of like I just lost watching some of that stuff. So, were you a Seinfeld fan?
Yeah.
Were you? Okay.
I liked Seinfeld.
It's funny.
But I liked, before his fall from grace, I liked Michael.
Kramer.
I like Kramer's character. Michael Richards.
It's funny, too, that I was never a huge fan of that show.
Yeah.
But have you ever seen Jerry Seinfeld's stand-up act?
Not much of it.
He's pretty funny. I thought he was really good as a stand. He could have just done a stand-up, and it would have been fun with me.
Wasn't really a fan of Elaine, but Kramer, like, you see, he was in a movie before this.
Really? Okay.
With Weird Al Yankovic called UHF. As a kid, loved the movie, so of course,
sure. It's like Wayne's
automatically.
World. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my other favorite shows, but besides like Seinfeld and the Wonder Years, was Quantum Leap.
Okay.
From that
era. That's I would call that a 90s show. I think it started in 89 or so. But I remember that show, and the only reason I remember it is my mom had a crush on Scott Bakula, and I just remember Sam. And I just remember she watched that show. Mm-hmm. She didn't miss it. It was on a Dallas level for her.
Wow.
And I don't remember what night of the week that was on, but she just I thought it was a neat show, and I mean I thought it was a show like nothing else you'd ever see. It's pretty, that's the great thing about a science fiction show. You can go as far out as you want to go, and just every week you just kind of believe it a little more. I know another one of your favorites was 90102. That was another one.
Never seen it.
Yeah, you have too.
I have not.
You never watched
901? What channel was that on?
That was on.
I didn't even know.
What was on like Fox or WB?
Was it?
Melrose, their first.
Didn't have WB in the 90s.
I didn't. Melrose Place, wasn't that on afterwards?
I have no idea. I didn't have that. I lived in Duluth. I didn't have
That's
that.
right. You had indoor plumbing that year. Do you consider Married with Children a 90s show?
Yeah.
I think so. I think it started in like 88, but I would consider that a 90s show. And I'll tell you what. I know I always want to play an a-hole, but I would love to play Al Bundy for a little bit.
I'm sure.
I just think.
Why does that not surprise you?
The great part about Married with Children and Sunday night was I remember when I was in college, of course, I did all my homework on Sunday night, and I occasionally watched. I think it was still on then, and Sunday Night Football or something would be on. I always say, no matter how bad my week was, Al Bundy had a worse week.
Yeah.
That was the.
But like I was never into the X-Files.
I never was
either. It was a huge show. I was never into it.
It was. And I never saw that either. I'll tell you what. How about another guilty show? You ever watch Silk Stockings before?
What?
Oh, it used to be on.
That was a show?
Yeah, it used to be. I was like one of those detective shows, but there was a lot of, how should I put this? Adult storylines on there. So, but I
missed that one.
It never.
Well, I shouldn't say I missed it. I didn't. But
the problem was that the two leading actors, and I don't remember their names. The lady eventually went on to Baywatch. I can't think of her name.
There's a stretch. Okay,
but the guy, they left the show about halfway through. And then they brought new people on, and oh boy, I think the show just was gone. It was like, nothing ever happened. It was gone so fast. So I don't know, but we've named a whole bunch of. I mean, am I missing anything?
King of the Hill started in the mid to late 90s. That was okay.
You into cartoons like that?
It was always on right after Beavis and Butthead, wasn't it? I mean, but it was on Fox. It was after The Simpsons. So that I watched a lot.
Yeah, I was going to say The Simpsons, but I really never got into The Simpsons.
Oh, so I watched that a lot.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Okay, I never really did. I'll tell you another show that I loved but didn't like the mom. Everybody Loves Raymond has to be a high show. I mean, I thought it was a great show. I don't know what year that started. I want to say 95-ish. And it ran till 2004. So, I mean, it was on for quite a long time. So,
yeah, I didn't watch it much until it was in reruns.
I remember catching the later seasons and watching the earlier seasons on I'll tell you what, you know you're old when Nick at Night is playing all the shows that you watched in the 80s. See, to me, Nick at Night when I was a kid, it was like Car 54 and I Love Lucy and Leave It to Beaver. Okay, then all of a sudden it became, I don't know, I blinked my eyes and it became Cheers and Night Court and all these shows that I grew up watching, and I'm like, oh my god,
I know another animated show, Ren and Stimpy. I loved Ren and Stimpy.
Okay, never really watched that, but I know of it.
Yeah.
How about the Fresh Prince? You watch the Fresh Prince?
Once in a while.
Uncle
Not
Phil?
really. Not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. It probably was pretty funny, but I didn't watch it.
It had its moments.
Yeah.
I thought it was all right. I mean, it not always, how do I put it, my kind of humor, but,
Wasn't really into Third Rock from the Sun. I watched it sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it a handful of times, but I don't really, it's one of those shows that I knew was on, and I watched it twice, and then that was pretty much it. I never really, no. Well, we've pretty much named every show.
I think so. Anything worth naming. Of course, all the Star Trek fans are mad at us, but
I'll tell you, can I say one more thing, too, that I enjoyed back then?
Yeah.
I think because my mom and dad were such Johnny Carson fans, I enjoyed late night talk show back then. I really liked Jay. I watched Letterman on occasion. I can remember Arsenio Hall was somebody, because he always had sports people on. And I don't remember the years of his show. I want to say he was on in the early to mid 90s, but it might have even been earlier than that. But I mean, he always had basketball players and wrestlers on. I thought it was a good show. But when late night was at its peak, and I just remember, I've said on previous episodes, my mom and dad religiously Dallas, Falcon Crest, Johnny Carson on Friday night.
Mom, yeah.
You know, and in the summers they'd go rent movies because
Yeah.
it was all the reruns.
Right.
And but I got into Jay Leno used to guest host for Johnny Carson once in a while. So you kind of got to know him, and when he took over the show permanently, I thought the Tonight Show was even, for me, and maybe I was older and understood the jokes more and whatever like that. I thought it was at its peak in the 90s. And I thought Letterman was at his peak too then.
Yeah, and even the Arsenio Hall show was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it was different too than the other shows.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think if there was another one on at the time. I don't think so. And Conan after at the time was after Leno. Usually I couldn't stay up that late, or just physically couldn't, or wasn't allowed to. But I thought late night TV was at its best then. I think now it's at its worst.
Yeah,
I think now it's terrible.
One other 90s show that we missed, I enjoyed actually quite a bit, News Radio.
Oh, okay, sure.
Phil Hartman and Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan. I can't believe I forgot Joe, one of my favorite podcasters. It was a good show. I think obviously something came out of it after Phil's demise, and because I thought he was the coolest character on the show. Yeah, that was a good show, and I want to say that used to be on after Frasier. I can't remember what night of the week, but definitely I'd put News Radio up there. And if I can throw in, this is more of a 2000s show, and it's another show where, God, the wife on the show I just can't quite like.
You misogynist.
Yeah, but I love Kevin James.
Oh, yeah.
And Jerry Stiller. So I have to say and I don't know when that show started. I want to say it started around like 97-ish, and it went to like 2005 or 6. But I mean, I just don't like Leah Remini. I like her, but I don't like her character. So it grew on me after a while. I had to watch that show a lot, but boy, give me some Doug Heffernan anytime, falling out of any guy like with his agility. Yeah. I mean, it was like it was just hilarious, the physical comedy.
Yeah. So you were into both the Mall Cop movies?
No, I've never seen them all.
Really? No. It's Kevin James at his most physical.
Really? Then I have to see him because I just think he's great. I thought he was hilarious.
No, it's funny.
I used to always laugh too. He drove for IPS.
Yes,
like anybody was fooled that. Guess UPS would sue him if he said IPS instead, which I thought was funny. But I tell you what, though, Jerry Stiller was just spectacular on that show. I mean, he was really was the guy who kind of, I think, was the source of of everything there. So, all right, we named every 90s show on
just
the face
about
of the
anything
earth.
worth naming. There's probably a whole bunch of them that are properly forgotten about.
Well, there's more misses than hits, man, I'll tell you. I mean, I know you stayed up Friday nights watching Full House and Family Matters, but I'll tell you what, there was just more Family Matters with that Urkel guy.
Oh,
right. So I mean, I mean, I don't know why that just came to me watching a Friends binge. By the way, did you see the latest Dr. Fauci Rand Paul barbs today?
I did not get to watch it yet. I've seen it I've seen it highlighted on YouTube. I did not get to watch it.
I wonder what Fauci's thinking when he goes into one of these committee meetings.
Yeah.
What's going to happen? I'll tell you what. people are asking if, Fauci has lied to Congress, and I would say it's pretty borderline. I mean, if he's telling the truth, it's almost more disturbing that gain-of-function research, which I think was going on without question,
Yes.
with our tax dollars, and we didn't know about it, which is what basically Fauci's story, which I find hard to believe. I find it hard to believe that our National Institution of Health gives money to a communist country to do experiments and then trusts them to tell, hey, we're not doing anything. Don't worry about it.
Communists always tell the truth.
Exactly. Don't worry about it, you little wimp. We're not doing that stuff. Don't worry. Just go home and just keep the money flowing. I find that scenario about a 1 in a gawillion. Okay, can I just say that? So, I think that it's highly unlikely that any of that is true. Now, having said that, the latest thing is Fauci publicly saying that everyone going back to school should wear a mask regardless of vaccination status.
What a dope.
So you don't need a mask to go anywhere.
Right.
But if you go to school and you've been vaccinated, you still need to wear a mask. And remember, kids 12 under can't get it. Can't get the vaccine. But what do you want to bet they're eligible starting like September 1st? All of a sudden Pfizer will come out and
I don't know. And this is getting tamped down in the media right now. And I don't know if you've heard any of this, but the guy who invented the mRNA technology has been speaking out and saying that there are risks, and he's being shut down by the media. He invented it.
Well, the media wants to keep the story going. They want to keep the virus in the news.
Well, one of the risks is that children and teens who take a vaccine with the mRNA technology, there is a risk that they could have toxicity of the heart.
Well, that's kind of a problem.
I'd
rather be sick for a few days.
But yet, so it depends if the story grows legs.
Then why
or not.
is it approved for people 12 and up then? Because
it's not FDA approved though. It's still listed as experimental.
Right, but it's emergency approved.
Right. And until the FDA is able to complete all of its testing,
which could take 10 years.
It could. But correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I think the FDA and the risk to kids
they
and
have
teens.
said that, but it has not gotten the press coverage that you'd think it would.
But yet the teachers union is still pushing for vaccinations for kids.
Well, and they butted in front of the line. So why are they, if the adults are all vaccinated, look, kids are kids, okay? They throw snot boogers on each other, spitballs.
Yeah.
They eat each other's lunch.
They lick the floor.
They change underwear with their classmate in between class. Come on, they're just kids.
Yeah.
And to say that, a kid in kindergarten should wear a mask. It's just it's just tantamount. It's child abuse. Let's just call it what it is. And the latest thing here in Minnesota, the Ugly Twins are coming out with the Malcolm X is saying that they're going to recommend wearing masks and not require it. That's the latest for school kids starting in September. That's the latest thing that they're wink, wink, nod, nod. Yeah. They want to do it, but they're just putting the burden on somebody else to do it.
To quote one of my favorite movies of all time, they recommend that I do, but I recommend that I don't.
Well, that's Rocky, but I'm not sure which one. But yeah,
that was the one where I think it was 2, where it's like the doctors are saying you shouldn't be fighting at all, Rocky. Your vision isn't good.
No, they recommend.
Yeah, they recommend that I don't, but I recommend that I do.
Yeah, there's nice bricks. They almost add up to 9. These numbers. But you know what? My favorite part of that movie. One of my top. Two. No, we'll get to our stuff here. Is when Mick has him chase a chicken, and he goes, "You got to wear that stinking sweatshirt." And Rocky goes, "Well, it brings good luck." And Mick goes, "It brings flies." there's the other part where he walks into his house. Him and Adrian walk into the house, and he goes up to his turtles.
Yeah.
And he go, hey, yo, what's going on? Anybody move today? Just one great dialogue in those movies. I mean, credit to Stallone. He wrote it. Too,
Yeah.
You know, I mean, takes one thing to act. It's another thing to write. I mean, I think that's almost more impressive. Tell you what's not impressive, though.
We put it off as long as we can.
And you know what? I hope we don't talk about these people till at least a year from now. I know we will.
You know, this is where I want to say, we could learn a thing or two. We could learn a lot of things from Texas. But one thing that they've got down is like they meet every other year for just a little bit of time.
There's few states that do that, unfortunately. Yeah.
And then they go away.
Yeah, the less you meet, the less damage you can cause.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
Jay, the legislature.
Yes.
And we're going to give kind of a couple different angles at this because you and I talk about local stuff. So, I mean, there's some local implications in this that are really concerning.
Yes.
Finalized 14, quote, budget bills.
Oh, that sounds
How many
conservative.
hearings were there for any of these bills, I wonder? Do you see any? Did you see any open negotiation?
No, I did not.
And I looked at so many pictures of Hartman, Walz, and Gazelka, and the only thing that came to my mind is which one's Larry, Daryl, and Daryl. That's the only. Oh, hey, Newhart. I thought of another show, Newhart.
Oh, never watched it.
Oh, God, really?
I only had so much time. I was still, practicing hard back then as a musician, putting hours into my guitar every day, and having to do homework. On top of it, I was in college for most of that period.
What's great about high school? Okay, first off, best 7 years of my life.
Yeah.
But let me just say this. I never once did homework.
Yeah. I had to in college.
That's probably why I didn't get a degree. I didn't do homework there either. You take your bad study habits somewhere. I never, when I go back to this, I talk about education. Not one day of K through 12 prepared me for college or to own my own business.
Yeah.
Nothing whatsoever. High school, I never took a book home. That's the truth. I never took a book home.
I did. I mean,
I took one home, but I didn't open it.
I did the assignments that were assigned to me. I didn't do extra reading. I don't think I even read. But if I had to answer questions, I made sure that the questions were answered. If I had math problems to do, I'd solve my problems.
No, I just did political stuff. I answered questions the way I wanted to answer them. That's all I did. Yep, that's all.
Oh, boy. That explains so much.
Doesn't it, though? I mean, the times just have not changed that much. I mean, things are just kind of the same. Jay, why? Can I ask just a stupid question here?
Yes.
A $52 billion budget. $52 billion. And like we've said before, in 2011, we shut down the government over a $34 billion budget. 1998, we had a $23 billion budget. You can see how much government has grown just in the past generation. I mean, in one generation, it's gone up, like 130%, which is crazy. But I'll tell you what, Republicans, they're just giddy. They're just giddy because even though they failed at practically everything, there was no new taxes, which has done nothing to change the tax situation here. And I think it's a big mistake because I think you miss the tax. You're not articulating what taxes should look like. I mean, you look at, Jay, let me look at it this way.
Yeah.
And I tell you, this affects local government a lot too, because people, how much money they have to spend, how much tax you have to pay when you go somewhere, blah, blah, blah. I mean, those businesses become the collector of that kind of thing. whether you're going to be a state that relies on sales taxes, income tax, that conversation never happens in this state. Even the talk of it never happens.
Right.
You know, because it's kind of like, okay, I remember when I want to say it was the beginning of Dayton's second term. And he proposed, and I wasn't wild about this proposal, so don't misquote me here. But he proposed to lower the sales tax, but have it cover everything. Do you remember this? What is the sales tax in Minnesota without all the extra local taxes on 6.5%?
Maybe. I don't know.
6 point something.
I'm trying to remember. I know like all of it together is right around like 7.5%.
7.25 or something like that total. And he wanted to lower it, I wanted to say to 4 point something, but he wanted it to cover everything.
Yeah.
You know, we don't tax groceries, we don't tax clothes, we don't tax blah, 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 blah. Now, I'm not wild about that. I think clothes and groceries are essentials, and so I'm not, although I would get the poor to pay something, you know, a lot of poor people pay nothing, and that kind of, you know, I still come back to wondering why we pay an alcohol tax, since that tax was put on to pay off bonds on the Metrodome, which is no longer exists. But back up a second. Republicans just stood there, and I kept expecting a counter proposal.
Yeah.
And there was nothing.
Nothing.
And I mean, politically, Dayton looked, you know, he looked open and compromising and trying to change something, and Republicans just stood there and said no, and now sales taxes are still sitting at 7.25%. Nothing was done to change anything. So I don't like this obsession with no new taxes. I'm not for higher taxes, but you have to put forth positive ideas. And same here too. Republicans will burn at the stake for Walz's emergency powers and no new taxes. They'll give up anything else. They'll sell their kid, but they'll give up everything if they can walk away saying those two things here.
Yeah.
Because I am reading some of the stuff here, with all due respect to Roger Chamberlain, okay, what there is to be happy about in the education spending bill, I am still trying to look for. And by the way, the Senate passed this unanimously.
Yeah.
Not a dissenting vote on the education portion of this. The bill provides the largest increase of K through 12 money in 15 years. So just think. Okay, Jay, stop and think for a minute. Republicans have stood there for a year complaining about teachers' unions, complaining about schools being closed, complaining about youth sports being shut down, complaining about this. And at the end of the day, not only is there no change to, you know, the status of our schools, i.e. school choice and all that, they got the largest amount of money that they have gotten in a decade and a half.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are giddy about it. A 2.5% increase in the general formula. I'll explain that in a second. Because it's not 2.5%. That's what people have to get about the funding formula. And another 2% in the second year. So, i.e., the budget, which starts July 1st, a few weeks ago, covers the upcoming school year and the next one. Okay, which I know is hard to grasp sometimes that the state budget starts July 1st. But that formula is a lot more money than it looks like. Because you don't just take 2.5% times the number of students. There is a formula built in. There's a formula for elementary school kids, junior high kids, and high school kids.
Yeah.
And it's more as it goes up. I want to say it's times 1.3 for a kid 7th through 12th grade. So if they're worth, if they get $5,000 per kid, a 2.5% increase is that times 1.3, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So it's a lot more money than it sounds like when you're just. Of course, they don't explain this, of course, in any of these articles.
Right.
I'm at nprnews.org, and if you're scoring at home, like Herb Carneal used to say. So those things go to the, they're going to end up in the pockets of the employees. We know where that money's going to go. So why would I just don't understand what is there to be happy about that? Why is that something to celebrate?
Yeah.
This Republican Senate, we're going to hold them accountable. We're going to watch every cent, just approve the highest per student spending increase in a decade and a half. So let that sink in for a second. Of course, Gazelka, with that extra shine on that head, is giddy about the ending of the emergency powers.
Yeah.
Quote, I'm not even going to. We never imagined as a legislative branch the executive branch would keep emergency powers for a year and a half. Well, Mr. Gazelka, can I earth to you? Okay, there were ways to get around that, and you went up to a line and then backed off.
Yeah.
What happened to those? What happened to all those hearings for those commissioners that were supposed to happen? Not a one.
Nope.
Nothing. What happened? You were going to hold that bond. You were going to pass a bonding bill till we blah blah. Then a bonding bill passes 64-3.
Yeah.
So, I mean, why give them up if you're just eventually going to cave?
Yeah.
I mean, just hold out for some time, and eventually old Chrome Dome will give it up. Okay, so I mean, just the frustration level. I'm frustrated with both sides. I'm not happy with anybody, but I can just picture now the Tea Party meeting that you and I used to go to, and the rah 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 about holding the governor accountable. We didn't raise any taxes, and spending would have been way worse if the Democrats ran the Senate or something like that. That's what we would have been treated to, and I was treated to it a whole lot. A whole lot over the years.
So there's some things that I don't understand in this bill, the education bill.
Oh God.
So. The DFL-controlled House of Representatives on Saturday passed a bipartisan E through 12. I love E through 12.
Why isn't it B through 12?
Why?
Birth.
Yeah, or before. I mean, then you'd have to recognize it's a child, I guess. I was thinking you could send through sonogram your messages and start while they were still in the womb with your
I shouldn't laugh. That's terrible.
Yeah. I guess you'd have to recognize them first as people, and that's a big problem.
Huge.
Okay, so highlights of the bill include preserving 4,000 pre-kindergarten spots. I didn't know kindergarten spots were going away. And $11.7 million in funding toward programs DFL lawmakers say will help address a shortage of teachers of color. Now, what does that mean? Because it shouldn't cost you any more to hire a teacher of color than it is to hire a white teacher. So that's not where the money's going. So are they getting free school money then?
Probably.
Okay. I don't know. I guess I see a problem with that. That's discriminatory because you're giving free money to one group and you're not giving money to another. Whitey can pay for his or her college for the next 25 years after they leave.
Yeah.
And we're going to give other people money so that
I think that's going on everywhere. I think that this idea that you and by the way, why do we have to have teachers of color? Can somebody just ask me that? I mean, are you saying that a black student can't learn from a white teacher, a white student can't learn from a black teacher. I mean, what are you saying when you say that? Why? How does that change? I want to know how that changes student performance, because I'm one. I want the kids to have the tools to be a successful adult. I want minority kids to get to their full potential. That's what I want. And how is the color or gender of their teacher? Why is that so important? I mean, seriously, because again, the burden for this probably falls on the local districts, because if you're given money but a mandate to do something with it, okay, we're going to give you money, but you got to have more teachers of color. What are you going to do? Yeah. What do you do with that money? I mean, how do you get there?
Yeah, we need to pay for a certain number of accounts in Indeed.com. We need to
advertise in Harlem.
We need to be, we need advertise for teachers of color in Craigslist.
I don't know.
Monster.
Well, and remember,
I don't know.
But remember something. Yeah. Remember, you can't go out and just hire teachers like you're hiring people at Burger King.
Right.
They've got to have a degree. They've got to have a license. Yeah, I mean, so it's not that simple to just say we're going to do that. I mean, you have to have qualified applicants. Here's my fear. My fear is they're going to dumb down what it will take to get a teacher's license or something like that. That's my ultimate
Which has
fear.
nothing to do with being a minority or not. It has everything to do with
it's expanding the pool of... Right, expanding the pool. I mean, look, we've seen this in the military.
Placating the white liberals that run all that stuff.
Yeah, we've seen this in the military, how standards have changed to allow more. I want our soldiers to be the best in the world.
Yep.
Okay, and if the best people are black, are women, are whites, you know what? I'm fine with it. They defend us. But what I don't want is to lower the standards so that more other kinds of people can get in. If they can pass the test and do everything, I don't care what color or gender.
Did you see, was it a CIA ad or FBI? We're looking for recruits.
It was fake.
No.
Right?
What?
Are you talking about the fake one that Tucker Carlson put on his show?
No.
They had a recruiting thing that was photoshopped.
No, this is a real one where it's what do you call it? It's some lady that's in the CIA, and she says, "Oh, I have anxiety problems. I don't want you in the CIA.
Okay,
wrong job for you.
Yeah, you go bake cookies.
Go be a librarian or a dog walker or
knit sweaters. I don't know.
In this day and age, even teacher would be the wrong vocation for someone like that, because being in the schools is very anxiety ridden.
I think so too.
But going on with this, so again, here's another big Republican win in this bill. The spending bill does not include a GOP proposal for private school vouchers, which Republicans argued would bridge the state's achievement gap between white students and students of color.
I wonder how hard they argued for that.
Not at all.
Yeah,
that's what that means.
Did anybody see a bill even proposed?
They submitted an amendment, I'm sure. They got shot down. And
they knew we'd get shot down. So they just wanted to say they submitted it.
Name the representative that said this. We need a reading program that helps new immigrants and existing low-income people to learn how to read.
Oh, God, it sounds like a Arthur Fonzarelli.
Close. Rep. Glenn Gruhagen.
Oh, wow. Oh, shit. Guess I was way
close,
off.
Not close at all.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God. I guess somebody doesn't know how to read. I guess we could read. We send them a new. We already give them K through 12 for free. That's not enough.
Right.
Now we got to give them a special class.
I mean, he tries to make it sound conservative. It's the one way they can advance themselves economically. We want them to become part of the middle class. That is what we want. But members, that's hard to do when we've got one of the worst achievement gaps in the nation. The one thing he said that's correct is we want them to become a part of the middle class and the upper class, and that is what we want. But the wrong thing to use is more state aid, more welfare to do it.
Just throwing money at it. I mean, you're making...
How much of this money is going to go to Minneapolis public schools, and they already waste inordinate amounts of money?
Minneapolis and St. Paul are just their own... They're their own... They're like the Twilight Zone. I mean, they're just nuts.
Yeah.
My favorite part about the tax stuff, okay, and I'm again at a different NPR article, the $1 billion tax cut. Now, I love how they define tax cut.
Let me guess. They actually reduced the amount of taxes the average working person pays in Minnesota.
Yeah. That's funnier than a Rebecca Knocker joke. Okay, the bulk of it, 85%, comes from not taxing the payroll protection loans.
That's not a tax cut.
So back up a second.
Yes.
The governor illegally forces businesses to close, to which the governor should have been impeached and arrested.
Yes.
Then, when the federal government prints money, buys it back, and sends it to these businesses, the state of Minnesota taxes it.
Yes.
So now these businesses can't earn money.
Right.
Okay. So then they remove the tax on the business that was forced to close, and that's part of a tax cut?
Money should have never been taxed in the first place.
But I'll tell you what. Everybody's giddy about it.
Oh,
Your favorite senator's giddy too.
Yeah.
From Rochester. Carla Nelson. A highly negotiated bill that empowers Minnesotans without raising taxes and sparks economic growth. Really. So, a loan to a business that is shut down. And she also cites unemployment.
Yes.
So let me get this straight. Paying people to not work sparks the economy, and not taxing a loan to a business that was forced to shut down. Those things spark economic. Now look, Jay, economics, okay, is the worst taught subject on the face of the earth. The
American history is close.
Okay. It's 1.1B, okay? The average person, in my opinion, could not explain a supply and demand curve, could not tell you the difference between macro and microeconomics, couldn't tell you how unemployment is counted.
Couldn't balance a checkbook if that was a needed skill anymore.
Yeah, couldn't even explain what the Federal Reserve does.
Yeah.
Okay, just showing how bad this is taught.
Right.
And that includes, and especially includes, legislators who think the world begins and ends with them. Okay, so I mean, just think. So giving people money to not work and not that's their gifts to us.
Right.
Thank you so much.
How many businesses have you been in the past, I don't know, month, where they've had a sign in the window saying, "I'm sorry, but our hours are now this because we don't have enough people to work"? How many places have you driven past that say, "We're hiring, we're hiring, we're hiring, we're hiring"?
It's more money every time you drive by.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It's going, but this is, you'd think that's a good thing. The problem is we do not have a labor shortage in this country. What we have is
an ambition shortage.
Well, but we're paying people more money or almost as much money to stay home.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah. So
we have an ambition shortage.
Yeah. But I mean,
nobody wants to do anything.
But it's, I'm one who I feel guilty if I call in sick.
Yep.
Okay. And with everybody else, and I don't know if it's people who, not everybody else, but less and less we have the attitude of going out and earning.
Yeah.
It's I'm entitled, I'm entitled, I'm entitled, I'm entitled. And this right now, this is my prediction, this is the basis. They are trial running universal basic income. I mean, that's what I believe is going on. The universal basic income is the ultimate goal here. That, you should just get money.
California is actually putting it in. Did you hear that?
No, but I've heard.
California is actually going to be putting it in.
As a state or?
Yes, as a state.
How can that state do anything? That state's...
I believe it's a state. I don't think it's just Los Angeles, but let me check.
You know, I'll tell you what. I remember back in like the late 80s when we were told the San Andreas Fault was going to blow up and California was going to be somewhere near Hawaii by now.
Yeah.
Why hasn't that happened yet? I mean, keep the Rose Bowl and keep a few other things, okay? Keep San Diego. But... just shows you where science is wrong sometimes.
Yeah. It looks California approves guaranteed income program for residents. On the Insider, universal basic income, California moves to be first state to fund pilot efforts. Newsweek, why California's guaranteed income plan is different from universal basic income. It's not. They're getting a check to not do a thing.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Yeah, they passed it 5 days ago, it looks like, or 6 days ago.
Here's some other interesting things about the, quote, tax bill.
Yes.
The bill contains tax credits to drive affordable housing construction and restore historic buildings.
What? How's that a tax break?
I don't know. And are historic buildings privately owned?
I suppose it depends. I mean, I suppose people can own it. But
I go back to this, Jay.
Yeah.
Why is it that we take certain industries and give different rules to them than we do other industries?
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, I mean, why is it that if you, what did I say at the beginning here? Oh, if to drive affordable housing construction. But you seen the price of lumber lately? Okay, I mean, affordable housing is a nuance. It's a talking point.
Myth.
I mean, how many government contracts are out there? What? Enforce your own affordable housing.
Yeah, and maybe we need to have Mayor Jim Adams back on the show because he and I have been talking a bit about affordable housing and where there really are gaps. A lot of these cities, they want affordable housing because it's what the Met Council tells them they have to do, but it's not really affordable, or it's more guaranteed around getting certain types of funding and this and that. But where people are falling through the cracks are, people that are coming out of halfway houses or this or that, or homelessness, and there's a huge gap where people are not being housed, but because affordable housing really doesn't cover that. It's not the trendy thing to do. So maybe,
I love how affordable houses have 5 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms, and it's called an affordable house. That's one of my favorite things.
But I think it's amazing here as we talk about tax cuts. So we've got unemployment for those who didn't work through the pandemic and still aren't working. We have
a year and a half later,
not taxing PPP loans. All right, so people who borrowed. But the people who worked diligently every day, they got up and they went to work, or they worked from their homes during the pandemic, did not take time off.
Yeah, and they had their kids at home with them, by the way.
Right. They don't get a tax break.
No, of course not.
For keeping the economy afloat and doing what needed to be done to make sure that the country did not implode economically. And how about, they get nothing.
And how about all the rhetoric about the heroes?
Yeah.
Truck drivers, nurses, mail carriers, blah, blah, blah. All the people, like you said, who worked through and add to it the windfall education is getting.
Yeah.
Add to that on top of it.
And most of those parents that were, working and staying home had to be teachers as well.
Right. I mean, it's just a total joke. I mean, I worked through this whole thing. My wife is a nurse. She worked through the whole thing.
I worked through the whole thing.
We're not getting a cent.
Oh.
Oh, but hey, if you own a historic building,
you
want to remodel it, the government will pick up 5% of it or something like that.
Wow.
Zippity-doo-dah.
Not that I'm looking for a government handout, but I would like to have my taxes cut.
But again, why can't we just level it for everyone.
Yeah.
I mean, why is it that I have to have 2.5 kids, one has one ear, one is gender identifies as something else, and then maybe I can get a $500 knock off my AGI or something, and it's like, come on. I mean, who thinks up this stuff? I mean, why should a tax code be, something I have to hire somebody to understand? I mean, how hard is it to just go, look, you can, I don't object if we're going to have an income tax, which we've had since 1933 in Minnesota. I don't object to a deduction for kids. They're expensive. I don't object to the standard deductions that people get. You work up to a certain amount of money. Everybody gets it. But what I can't stand is this handouts to these special interest groups.
Right. You make more money so you can pay more taxes. I mean, yes, in total dollars earned, but in percentage, why? And that's where like something like a flat tax or a consumption tax with no income tax really are more viable, because you have people that are taxed based on either what they're consuming or on, and it might cut down on some of the wasteful consumption as well, or the flat tax where, it's everybody pays 3% or 5% or whatever it is.
And you can exempt the first $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 of income for everybody.
Sure.
You could do that. So that way the very, very poor are still paying nothing. They're paying nothing now.
Right.
So,
but they're not getting a big welfare check back either.
They're working, they're not. Sure, they're probably. It's funny. You're actually probably already at that point where, if you're on some sort of assistance, the second you get a job for $12 an hour, they kick you off. They don't transition you into, moving up. I think that's one of the problems, that we cycle people there because the incentive to move up a little bit is to get cut off. I'll tell you what, though. I wonder what the wages are going to look like in a couple of years, because I could see people, when Burger King's hiring for $15 an hour. Now, keep in mind, when I started working, minimum wage was $4.25. Okay, I mean, when
$3.80.
Yeah, when that happens,
yeah,
what happens in 2 or 3 years when there isn't a labor shortage? Do those jobs? I mean, you're already seeing automated stuff. You're already seeing.
Yeah.
There's a danger that these jobs will never come back. I think there's a serious danger of that.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I'm offering $20 an hour to a damn 16-year-old, and I can't fill this spot. I can't leave it open.
Yeah.
If you're the franchise owner of a Wendy's, you're not a gazillionaire, probably.
No.
You may be upper middle class, but you have a spot to fill.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do? You're going to have to figure it out, and that's where
there are a lot of restaurants where owners are bussing tables and cooking food and
exactly. I mean, it's terrible.
Yeah.
You people sitting on your asses. I just want to. Never mind. I just won't say police accountability.
There was one other thing in there that I want to point out. There's also $250 million set aside for frontline worker bonuses, though the details of who is eligible and how much they will receive is up to a 9-person board to decide.
God.
Nothing is easy in this state.
Talk about passing the buck.
Yeah.
What is that? So, hey.
Yeah.
Where are those campaign contributions going? What do you want to bet? They're the ones that'll get the money. What's the definition of a frontline worker? That's another thing I'd like to know.
Right.
Don't tell me it's teachers, because they're absolutely
frontline workers, I think, are the people that are working with vaccines and stuff like that. And
that's a front. So, I mean, $250 million. I mean,
I don't know to what level like other nurses and stuff would get things like that, but yeah. And don't get me wrong. I mean, they have done some unimaginable stuff.
Agreed.
But
Here's an idea then. Give them all a $2,000 bonus. Why do we need a panel to dish this out? And who knows what that'll end up entailing? They'll probably do a study, which will eat some of the money away. They'll probably hire consultants and things like...
Is the panel getting paid?
I'm sure they're
and how
getting
much?
paid. Who's on it?
I don't know. Doesn't say.
Tell me Walz doesn't get to appoint it.
Yeah.
All right, let me back up here.
All right.
Police accountability. Boy, this is something that I'm really worried about that the locals are going to pay everything for. The Senate, by a vote of 45 to 21, again, another close vote.
Yes.
And the House, 75 to 59, a little closer, passing a public safety budget bill. The bill contains limits on no-knock warrants and the use of informants. I'd really like to see that because informants is limiting that is pretty problematic. You know, so you don't get, you want to deal with bad guys, you have to kind of deal with one sometimes. It was amended on the floor to allow sign and release warrants so that police aren't required to arrest low-level offenders because they missed a court appearance. Hey, so go miss a court appearance and there's no consequences.
Right.
Democrats dropped their push for a ban on pretextual traffic stops for minor offenses such as expired license tabs. So, you got expired tabs? Feel free to just drive and not pay.
Well, they dropped that, thank goodness. But
now it's going to come back next
I'm
year.
sure it
we
will.
both know it.
Or it'll be passed on a city-by-city basis.
Which is... So every time you go to a city, you're going to have to...
Yeah.
There are some...
well, Brooklyn Center was looking at that, weren't they?
I think they were.
Yes, they were.
There's a whole host of things, though, in that little goofy things in here that are pretty concerning, and I'm worried about. We went over them in an opening a few weeks ago. There's reformed civil asset forfeiture, which I'd like some information on.
Yeah.
First, for murdered and missing African-American women.
Right.
I'm guessing missing people are already being looked for, but now we need an upper echelon of them.
Right. Some people are more important to find than others.
Creating an office of missing and murdered Indigenous women. Not men.
Right.
The men can,
So...
There are funding increases for public defenders and legal aid, which I find kind of troubling because, again, that just increases the burden on the public to, provide, put it to you this way. When's it going to come to where everything's going off of criminals and on to either non-criminals or taxpayers? I mean, doesn't it feel like it's I don't want to say we're coddling criminals, but we are to a point where if they're the victim every time they commit a crime, I mean, put it to you this way.
Yeah.
We talk about traffic stops. Let me ask you something. If a black guy drives 100 in a 30, are we supposed to not pull them over because they're black?
Nope.
So then, isn't the answer to that problem to not drive 100 in a 30?
Yeah. People need to have laws. I mean, because
but what they're saying
men
is
are not angels. Yeah.
Enforcing these laws are racist.
But they're not. And I don't know what happened today. I had just driven through an area not too far from here, and I'd got out of my car, and all of a sudden I heard sirens within probably 45 seconds or so. I had heard sirens, heard a huge crash, and then I turn around and all of these police cars are not very far up the road. They're
Coming after you.
what?
Coming
They
after
weren't
you.
after me. Oh no. I had to go back that way, so I kind of drove towards them and drove around, and there must have been 7, 8 police cars. They were in the middle of the road. I think a guy, they had trapped them in a parking lot, and he had tried to barge his way out past the police blockade. And because his car hood was all scrunched up and stuff, he had driven straight out. There was a police car that drove into the side of his car, and it looks like he might have hit a police car that was blocking the exit. And they had the guy down on the ground, handcuffed. They had probably 5 guys on top of him, and you know what color he was? White.
Oh, yeah. Well, good.
And he deserved it.
But you know, you look at a lot of changes, and I mean, you know, I look at these legends. What does Melissa Hartman, Tim Walz, and Paul Gazelka know about running a police department? Why are they
Absolutely
making
nothing.
rules? I mean, isn't this why I elect a sheriff? Isn't this why we elect city councils who ultimately oversee police departments?
Absolutely.
This isn't a state issue. I still come back.
But they
to
don't trust the locals. I mean, that's the thing. This is from Carlos Mariani of St. Paul. He's a rep over there.
At least he's Italian.
Yeah. The necessary weight by licensed police officers that have produced a steady stream of killings of black and brown people in Minnesota. That is a lie. You show me the list of unarmed, unprovoked attacks on people of color in this state by police, and I will change my mind. But you don't have it. You are a liar.
Yeah, and how many people of color are dying in big cities every week from gunfights and from drug dealers and from general lawlessness in these big cities? Why is it only some black
It's
lives
gang
matter?
violence.
Yeah,
that is killing most of these people.
But nobody is marching about it. Nobody is burning a building down about it.
Oh, you have some, but they're not getting any press. You know,
there are some that are out there, but very few. I would argue. I would argue the people in power are doing nothing.
No, they are doing
Chicago
nothing, and that's why you've got, like, on the north side, guys like Reverend Tim up there that are putting together citizens that go out and
they're on their own. It's citizens on patrol.
It's sad.
I mean, no one will patrol their neighborhoods, so they have to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, Minneapolis is at Minneapolis's charter gives a ratio of how many police officers.
Well short. That's why the court told them they have to hire more.
Yeah, but nobody wants to go there. Would
would
you want to be a police officer there?
No.
Hell no. I don't even want to set foot in the damn city.
I know. And then I don't know if it got in this bill or not, but I know they were trying to make it so that they were urging police officers to live closer to where they serve. You would have to be nuts to want to serve in Minneapolis and then live close to where you're arresting criminals.
I don't think that got in, but
word.
But look for that to be picked up, though, by some cities that are going to try to mandate that. But that's almost worse because, again, it lowers. Look, I come back to you cannot lower the standards to becoming a police officer.
No.
Okay? That's not how to fight this. Okay? That's not how to change this. It's not how to make it better. Worrying about a police officer's gender or color is also not how you change this.
No.
And the idea that you're going to say, okay, I live in a city of 1,000, but nobody can be a police officer here unless they live here. Well, there's a lot of training you have to go through to be a police officer. There's an academy to go through.
Yes.
You don't just apply for that like you're, doing what you used to do, sell socks at Walmart. You sold socks. You were in the sock department.
Really? Yeah. At Walmart.
I saw your employee of the week thing last time I was at your house. You don't just do that. And that also defeats the purpose of everything they're talking about. If they want police more trained, better trained, well, then you can't limit who you can hire.
No.
Now, you could say you need to live within a radius because I may need to call, like fire departments sometimes do that. Say, look, I need to call you in. You can't live an hour away.
Right.
That's different. But to say, you have to live here or else, you have, you're creating a craziness there.
Yep.
But no, I don't think that got in. But again, look for that to come back.
Yeah.
This is one reform. Remember, they passed something last year on this, the chokehold ban and all that. They already passed something in 2020. Right. So, again, now they're going again, and they're going to go again in 2022.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust me, this isn't going to stop. A lot of things could change in a year, too. All that's true.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, by the way. The Republicans all agreed to this, but they save face because nothing in there is anti-police. That's according to Warren Limmer. Nothing is anti-police. So everything was okay.
Right.
As long as they could spin it so that nothing was seen as anti-police, which is a dumb way to look at it. Police reform doesn't mean you're anti-police. I watch the Twins. It doesn't mean I approve of 100% of what they do or who they play or who they pitch or who they trade for. That doesn't mean I'm anti-Twins. It's a dumb way to look at it.
Right.
There are police tactics I hate, and I'm very vocal about it. Okay, but, I'm not going to take it to... And I'll tell you what conservatives have got to start doing, too. They have been, and I'm gonna even extend this to the federal government. They have blindly supported military, police, FBI, CIA, and all that stuff, and that has got to stop.
Yes,
that has to stop. You've got to be. If you're a skeptic of everything else government does, why are you not a skeptic of?
Yeah,
it makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it one bit.
14 bills. Now, Jay, you know that when I'm governor, I'm going to veto all this stuff, and they can squawk and pass over it and whatever, but I'm not going to be responsible for something like this. 14 bills going through to quote, and everybody's celebrating. Yeah. There was no government shutdown.
Right.
They were like threatening state parks. If you had like a camping reservation, oh boy, you better keep checking, because we're not going to let you stay on, Loon Lake or something if we can't agree to police accountability.
Right.
What? Seriously. Up yours. Come on. Seriously? That's what you threaten people with?
Yeah. Yeah. There aren't a million.
How about you tell the teachers union you're not going to get paid? How about that? Maybe that would be the direction.
There are a million bureaucrats sitting in an office somewhere that you could do without.
For a while. The definition of essential worker, you really becomes...
Well, and during the pandemic, how hard was it to get a hold of somebody if you ever had to call? Because of the pandemic. So, yeah.
You're still hearing it.
Yeah, still. Especially with government. So don't tell me that there aren't things that you can cut before you get to the state parks.
Yeah, or they were threatening you couldn't renew your tabs or something like this. Like, what? What the hell?
Yeah.
That person behind the desk giving me my tabs is making $1 million. Come on. It's just golly.
Right. All library books will be due on time. No renewing books.
I even think they threatened to pull state patrol or something, and I was like, really?
What?
They were. That was on the.
How about we go without paying lawmakers until they get it settled?
How about they have to pay? How about that? Now, not only are you not getting paid, you're going to pay.
Yes.
Until. But you know what? Here's the other thing too. Something has to be done about this end of the session stuff, because let me ask you this: what did we do from January to June? Seriously, when you look back on it, why did we even have a legislative session if this is what they're going to do?
Let's just have it 5 days or 2 weeks June and be done with it.
Have no hearings, no nothing. Just jam everything through at the end. How can they? I just don't understand. If a city or a county or a school district did this, they could be in serious violations. The attorney general could go after them. They could be gone after personally.
Yeah.
And yet, what an example you guys set. I mean, you're just so wonderful.
Right.
I mean, God, what a joke. I mean, I've never wanted to serve in the legislature, Jay, and I would just eat. I would have a nail gun pointed at my forehead before I would serve in the legislature. I couldn't do it. I mean, I just couldn't do it.
Right.
I'd set an all-time record. The veto is pretty strong.
Yeah.
I mean, be pretty ugly.
Yeah. Republicans caved on something else in this, didn't they?
Oh, God.
I mean, as if there wasn't enough bad news and caving and spinelessness and
the clean cars standards now as of 2024. I don't remember what episode we talked about this, where dealerships have to set aside X amount of places for electric cars
that nobody will buy.
A certain amount of charging stations have to be implemented by 2024. And yes, Republican senators dropped opposition to it. And in fact, this was actually something that probably was going to get tied up in court for a while because the Pollution Control Agency was just going to do it. And this could definitely get fudged. They can't legislate.
Yeah.
And Republicans agreed to let them do it. So not only that, but it's not only spineless, but now again, we've set the standard that they can legislate.
Yep.
And if they want to legislate, that becomes part of a negotiation.
Yep. We continually,
no new taxes.
That's right. No new taxes. But just wait till your business has to pay for all those charging stations.
Yeah.
Just wait until
gas stations will have to. Any new public, some of them will be grandfathered, but like a new parking lot.
Yep.
Will have to have
if
them.
you own a
malls,
a car dealership, you're going to have them for electric vehicles, and they might just sit there unsold, taking up room in your lot. Yeah. And if you have a small lot, too bad.
You're looking at
too bad.
And not only that, but since they won't sell, what does that do to the price of the other cars? That owner has to make up that money somehow.
Yep.
So you're going to see that money go on to regular vehicles, probably.
But no new taxes.
Yeah, no, that's not a tax, though. Right?
No,
paying more of a VAT tax and all that, but that's not a tax.
That's not a tax. That's inflation, which the government caused, which might as well.
It is still causing it. They're still causing it. I've been to the grocery store lately. I mean, they're still causing it.
Oh.
And to a certain extent, they want it, though. This is different. This is most of the time when this happens, the government doesn't want it. I'm convinced that they want this.
Yeah.
So, boy, I'll tell you what. Every time we do a show, Jay, about the legislature, the bonding bills, or something like that, it just is. The shows get better, but the content gets worse.
The windows in our underground bunker start steaming up, and
they're going to explode one of these days. And then the next layer will explode.
Yeah.
It just gets worse. I mean, I wonder what it's funny. You look at the sessions that are shorter, which would be next year. I think it's only 3.5 months, but
at least it's only a bonding bill, so it'll be how many $1 billion?
Well, we'll see. I mean, and again, a bonding bill needs 60% in both houses, so any minority can kill it. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but unfortunately,
that doesn't happen in this state.
Unfortunately, everybody's getting bought off. I mean, everybody who opposes something is getting some little project in their area, and then they go back and say, I got this built, and I got this, this pond drained, and I got this hockey arena built, and I got for that. Okay, in the days of Henry Clay, I could understand it. Okay, but today I can't understand it.
Right.
I can't get how that could happen. And again, a bonding bill is something. Every project should have a statewide value. Yeah. Otherwise, it's a local project.
Right.
But they just stand in line, wait for their turn. Chamber of Commerce, who are they going to back? Who are they going to give money to bring tax dollars to their area? So enjoy your tax cuts out there. If you got a PPP loan and you already filed your taxes and you have to go back and amend them, hey, I mean, enjoy that tax cut, though.
Yeah, and I want to make a clarification because I have said how much I hate omnibus bills and that everything should be in a separate bill. And just because you're getting so many, like 14 bills here, they're not small bills. These are all omnibus bills.
Right.
All 14 of them are omnibus bills.
Every department has had
Yes.
their own agriculture, public safety, K through 12, roads. They all got, but everything is hodgepodge inside. You're right. They are. There's 14 omnibus bills. This happened at the federal government as well. Even last year when President Trump vetoed everything, it was all that and the defense bill were all passed over his veto. This is all, again, this is all prearranged. Okay? Nothing goes to the floor at this point that they know won't pass.
Yep.
So the idea that there's some suspense or there's some, I mean, when the Three Stooges came out, when Gazelka, Walz, and Hortman came out with an agreement, it was all passed already.
Oh yeah,
the bills were already written. It just took, threatening this legislator with re-election campaign money, or we're going to cut off the spigot to you.
Who are the whips in the Minnesota Legislature?
I don't know. Is Winkler the House one?
Well, maybe on the no.
Or is he the
but
majority?
I meant on the Republican side.
I don't know.
Because I would like to know who's responsible for pushing this garbage, other than just Gazelka and.
Okay, hang on. Minnesota Republican whip.
Because those are the guys or girls that are going out and saying, you're going to support this bill, and if you don't, you're not going to get such and such.
The majority leader is Winkler. The
Right.
majority whip for the DFL is Kaholi Van Her.
What? Okay.
Hold on.
What?
I'm sending it to you.
Okay. You think I can do a better job?
Just a beauty.
Golly vang her. It is a vang her and not a vang him.
Minority,
So that's good.
minority
Yes.
whip is Barb Haley.
Fired.
She is of 21A. That sounds like it's down south.
Yeah.
I'm going to guess maybe down east of Mankato or Rochester. I think it would be down there.
Can't see that. It's like further south, I think. Oh.
Telling me I'm wrong?
Belchester, Bell Creek Township, Belvedere Township, Cannon Falls, Goodhue,
That's
Lake
21A.
City, Red Wing. Oh, Red Wing.
Oh, yeah.
Wabasha. So it's in Wabasha County and Goodhue County. So I guess it's not further south, but yes.
Now, does the Senate have a whip?
They should, don't they? Maybe they don't.
Oh, wait.
They've got to have somebody that gets people in line, right?
Okay, Gazelka, the assistant majority leader is actually Roger Chamberlain.
Yeah.
I see a minority whip. That is Kent Eklund of District 4 in the Senate, but I don't see a majority one. They have a president pro temp, president of the Senate, deputy majority leader, assistant 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 majority leader, and then majority leader.
So I wonder if Chamberlain does that. I don't know.
I would guess not. I would
wouldn't think
guess
so either.
that. I would guess that somebody under him would do that. A deputy president of the
Right.
Senate, although I don't think so. I don't think Jeremy Miller does that. I don't know. It's kind of weird that they don't put one there. The DFL has two. Jason Isaacson, the other one from District 42. So maybe they're better at getting the old votes in line. Maybe that's why.
Maybe. I don't know. Either way, plenty of right to be upset if you're a conservative.
Or if you're just, a tax-paying citizen who worked hard through all this, and
Right, but most of the people are not going to hear anything about this. That's the problem.
Well, again, I mean, I come back to, I come back to our media. I come back to, where's the reporting on this stuff? Where's the in-depth on where this money is going and all that? I mean, I think it's pretty ugly. I mean, they got a deal. We avoided a shutdown. Hooray.
Yeah.
And it kind of stops there. And I think that there's not much follow-up to it. And there's who's going to track where this money ends up going? I mean, who's going to do that?
Nobody.
I mean,
falls into a black hole, it's gone.
You might as well just burn it. I mean, who's going to, and I'll tell you what, the other thing that concerns me is the amount of money with the baseline budgeting that you get a 2.5% increase on something. If you try to give them a 1.5% increase, we know what that's called, a 1% cut.
Right.
And we're going to see all of that in 2 years because of this federal money. We saw this back with the bailouts in 2008, 9, and 10. We saw a huge budget deficit here in Minnesota in 2011. The reason was the one-time money. Mm-hmm. And the economy hadn't recovered yet, and the revenues were not there. But this was all one-time money. Mm-hmm. So, that's what we're looking at here is an influx of that. It's built on nothing. It's built on a paper hill.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking at. And I think I think the locals are beginning to be the ones who pick up the tab for all this because LGA and fiscal disparities and road projects and all that are being promised, or it'll be done one time and then it'll go away, and blah, you're going to hear all this whining and complaining. And police reform, I think especially, is something that the locals, the counties and the cities are going to end up paying the burden on. And and who knows with school districts? I mean, again, a lot of one-time money coming in, and then in a year or two when that's gone, out come the referendums. It'll be somebody else's fault. It'll be a huge cut. We're going to have to get rid of Johnny's little program, for, kids with gender fluidity or something like that. You all know where that's going.
Yeah.
So it's just ugly. It's just ugly. Now, when I'm governor, Jay, what am I going to employ you as?
I don't know.
I mean, you're going to have some kind of job.
Yeah, I suppose I will.
I mean, before when we had Jeff Johnson on the show, were you going to be the MnDOT commissioner, or was that going to be me?
I want to be chief of staff.
Chief of staff? Okay, I could handle you there. You don't want to be my spokesman or anything like that? Even with that
maybe.
Cowardly lion look over there, I think you'd be perfect for
Nothing cowardly about this.
I'll tell you what.
Yeah.
I'd be so uncomfortable with somebody speaking for me.
Yeah.
I mean, wouldn't you feel kind of... Well, the governor says, like, wait a minute, I didn't say nothing. Okay, hold on a minute. If you didn't hear it from me, I didn't say it. I just think it would be a tough job, and I'd have a hard time sending somebody out there and saying, hey, go Go, you know.
Yeah. Go talk for me.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, what's her name? That's Biden's is just, boy, she needs help.
Oh, boy.
She just needs help.
Yeah.
But again, I sympathize with the position. Biden ain't awake. So what are you going to, you got a boss that doesn't talk. I mean,
yeah. I'll have to circle back sometime between lunch and nap time tomorrow. Yeah.
Tomorrow's day's done at 12:30, so I don't know what he's got to say about that. It's just, you know, I tell you what, like Bill O'Reilly said, he said, I've covered presidents since Carter, and I have never seen this before.
Yeah.
A president that is doing less. It's incredible.
Yes.
Jay, it's about that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we go through this every show. You get your words of wisdom in, but you have to do it to a certain great music.
Yes. Music is picked by you, not by the resident musician on the show. But it's all right. For what I do, it's perfect.
I know it's fitting for the sign-off sermon, Jay.
Yeah.
I mean, you're preaching here. I don't know, preaching is the right word, but it's inspirational talk, and you know that that's what Brother Love was all about. You know. Mm-hmm. Ladies and gentlemen, community flying, limousine riding, wheeling, dealing, son of a gun. Don't look now or he'll take your girlfriend.
What? No.
The women love him. And the men want to be him. We present very proudly the sign-off sermon, The Girlfriend Stealing.
What? Where's this coming from?
Making it up as I go.
Goodness.
We present Jason Bradley.
Oh, after all that nonsense, let's talk a little wisdom. How do I even recover from that? I don't even know how to. It's like.
Isn't that an easy transition into.
Terrible. Let's look at. Maybe I ain't preaching. But let's look at something here. In Proverbs 13:20, it says, "Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble." That is exactly what is happening in government. You got a bunch of fools associating with each other, and they get in trouble. They sign these bills. They vote yes on these bills that they have no business voting yes on. But why? Because they've gone unchecked. For far too long, they have gone unchecked. And they, I mean, you hear these Republicans talk, and it's, how is it different than what the Democrats are saying? We really do have one party rule in this state, and it's not helpful in the least. So what do we do about it? When you got people like Glenn Gruhagen, who's supposedly conservative, out there talking about the education gap and that we need to be able to do more for certain sectors of the population. Well, I understand that he's trying to get the left over to vouchers. But what he agreed to in the education bill was not good. And I'm sorry, you have to be accountable for all of what you do, not just part of what you do. You can't talk a good game and then not follow it up with action. Likewise, you can't remain silent and just go along to get along. You know, you can't let your arm be twisted by Republican leadership or Democrat leadership and go against your values. You know, as much as I do not like the squad, at least they do and say whatever is on their mind. We know who they are. I wish there were more Republicans like that. I know there's a handful, but I wish there were more that would say, you know what, this is garbage. I don't want anything to do with this. How do we build that? We need new people in St. Paul. And the only way to do that is to home grow them. That's right. We got to raise people up from the level of school board and from the level of city council and from county boards into this mindset of being a hawk on finances and economics, and to being maximizing liberty. I mean, that if you get somebody who is like that, willing to create all of the hand-up opportunities somebody might need without the chains that make it a handout, equalizing the opportunity playing field while not trying to equalize the outcome playing field, then those are the kind of people that we need in St. Paul. Those are the kind of people we need in Washington. And that's why you need to step into those roles now. Because when you step into those roles as someone who has common sense, we're going to see a lot of different things start happening at the local level. People will take notice as these things spread. And guess what? We will be able to come at these people who should be done, these lifelong politicians who go along to get along, who take extra money just to make sure that their bridge gets built, their road gets made, or whatever, their school gets named after them, whatever it is, so that they can say, look what I did for you. And, well, there's all this other junk, and you got 67 different senators across the state that are all trying to get their little piece of the pie. We need to get over having our little piece of the pie, because that's not what this is about. What this is about is emerging victorious. Victorious in this instance means being able to raise a family without government intervention. It means being able to make a living at what you choose doing with the least amount of government intervention. It means being able to live freely where the laws enforce the freedoms that we have, but don't restrict the freedoms that we have until they bump into the freedoms of another. These are the things that we need. These are the values that we need to have in those that are running. We need to get rid of CRT in our schools. We need to stop doing these public-private partnerships between government and business, because this is going to be a disaster for small business. Because the big businesses are going to make the rules and the little businesses are going to suffer, because the rules are going to benefit the big businesses and put the little businesses out of business. So where are the people with integrity? Where are the people who care about their communities? Where are the people that care more about their communities than looking good in front of a camera? Those are the people we need. Those are the people that we have been asking for and pleading with to come and do something amazing. So I hope you're here. I hope you're listening. Maybe you know somebody just like that, and you've been trying to work on them for a while. Pass this pod. That was kind of whispery like Joe Biden. I didn't like that. Pass this. Pass this podcast. If I say that 5 times fast. Pass this podcast on to people that you know. People that would be great for the job. People that want to step in, but they just maybe need a little encouragement. Or maybe they just don't know what to do, and they need a little direction. We're here to help. So if you know people like that, if you're a person like that, or if you just see everything disintegrating where you live, you need to get a hold of us at commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. That is commsolutionsmn@gmail.com. You can go out to our blog, which is the same, commsolutionsmn.com as well, and pass these stories along. And we link to the blog, we link to the podcast, all the different articles that we talk about. We also link to that in the blog articles, which that is something that you can use to become more informed. We also try to put all these out on our Facebook page if you haven't followed us there yet. COMM Solutions MN. Come and find us. We're all over the place. We got to get the word out, and then we need people to jump in the fight and help us at that level. We need people who are dedicated, people who are serious, people who are industrious and coachable, and people who will always do the right thing no matter what. If that's you, get a hold of us, because we're in this fight together. We need you, and we need you more than we can ever say, because like I've said a million times before, we're two guys sitting behind microphones, and we can't do it all, but we can certainly help anybody that needs it. So, all right, you've got your assignment. We're going to figure out what ours is for the next week, but we will be here. You can be sure of that. Why? Because we love you, Minnesota. But now it's your turn to